Hello everyone. So today we'll be starting with unit 5, which is markets. So first we'll talk about that what are we going to actually study in the next two chapters. These two chapters focus on the aspects of life and commercial cycles associated with the market. We're going to study that how our lives and market are linked, and we're going to study about this linkage. While some of these processes may be visible and therefore easily observable, there are also others that are relatively unfamiliar. We might have seen it in our every we might just be seeing it in our everyday lives, but still we might not be familiar with the process behind all that. Chapter 8 discusses markets around us. At one level, we study different market sites: a weekly market, a neighborhood shop, a shopping complex, etc. At another level, we explore the intricate question: how do goods reach these markets? We examine how a chain of market operates and the role of wholesale markets within this. Through the case study of a wholesale vegetable market, we usually associate market with marketplaces, but buying and selling takes place in diverse ways. And the chapter discusses how all of this falls within a larger understanding of markets. So we're gonna have a bigger understanding of markets and how different at different levels, whether it is neighborhood shop or or a weekly market or a big mall. We're going to study the question that how are these goods were reached here at that particular marketplace. Chapter 9 looks at how market offers people different opportunities. This is done through the story of a shirt. So we're gonna through shirt we're going to understand one process and the chain of markets involved in the process. Together with understanding each step of the manufacture and the circulation of a shirt, we realize that some people stand to gain in the market transaction, whereas others do not gain as much or none at all. Some have opportunities of gaining, like somebody makes money out of it, while some don't money make that much money, and some do not make money at all in the market. So we're going to study that. Okay, the opportunities are highly unequal. Ways to do exist, such as those of a cooperative marketing, which can provide a better return to the producers. However, we need to find a more viable avenues. Viable मतलब जो टिके ज़्यादा, avenues मतलब रास्ते, avenues मतलब तो यहाँ पे है कि जो अच्छे से और बेहतर टिक सकें और आगे तक जा सकें। फॉर इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मतलब इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हम मतलब होता है कि सबको मिल रहा है, ये नहीं कि कुछ लोगों को मिल रहा है तो ओनली दे आर बिकमिंग रिच। ऐसा नहीं, शुड बी लाइक एवरीबडी शुड गेट एन इंक्रीज इन देयर this thing income. It's not that if one rich person is having an increase of 80%, while another small shopkeeper is just having an increase of maybe 1%, 2%. It shouldn't be like that. There should be an equal distribution, whether we talk about the resources or opportunities in general. These chapters offer an opportunity of bringing in the experience of local markets for discussion in the classroom. A visit to a wholesale market would be of interest and would allow the learner to find out profit margins and details of daily earnings so that these inequalities can be directly examined. The experience of markets are varied and also quite rich. Hence, one should allocate time for some questions not addressed in the text, which students may wish to discuss. So we can then question ourselves, how we experience have had in the past, and have you ever visited a local market or anything like that, and discuss the difference opportunities which you saw around and the different variety of things you saw. So this is chapter 8, markets around us. Okay, wait, okay, I want to just, it's not visible clearly. um we go to the market to buy many things: vegetables, soap, toothpaste, masala, bread, rice, dal, clothes, notebook, biscuits, etc. If we make a list of the goods that we purchase, it would be very long. There are different kinds of markets that we visit, maybe for our everyday needs. These can include shops, hawker stalls in a neighborhood, a weekly market, a shopping complex, and perhaps even a mall. In this chapter we look at some of these markets and try to understand how the goods finally reach whatever we are seeing in front of us. How do they actually reach that particular place? We're going to study that. mm, Reach these buyers, who these buyers are, and who the sellers are, and the sort of problems they face. And then we're going to discuss that what problems they might face. So here are some of the things which are kept to be sold, or they are sold. We can see maybe slippers, disc, a sharpener, we can say see a pot, then mouse, chair, a vegetable, banana, we can see. You can see a toothbrush here, a calculator here, then you can again see a mobile here, and different. Then they here they've trying to show a tool list, what they have to buy: a sugar, maybe half kg sugar, butter, washing bar, and so many. You can see a person who's making this sweet dish, I think, yeah. And then you can see somebody. This is they see they don't have, like, see, can you see the difference here? They have like proper shops, okay, they can keeping this stuff and everything's on proper racks and everything, whereas this they don't have. They are just sitting on the street and just laid out their bed sheet, or sorry, laid out sheet, or just something to spread over the ground, and then they just put their stuff there, hardly they care. Okay, so now we are here. Why do people go to the weekly market? Give three reasons. Why are the sellers in a who are the sellers in the weekly market? Why don't we find big business persons in these markets? Why are the things cheap in the weekly market? Explain with example how people bargain in the market. Can you think of a situation where the bargain would be unfair? So a lot of times when we go to a local market or a weekly market, we say, "Bhai," if the person says it's of 100 rupees, we say, "Bhaiya, bhaiya, give it for 60 rupees or maybe 50 rupees." We're not paying 100 rupees. Especially when you go to these kind of markets like in Sarojini Nagar, which is in Delhi. Whereas if you go to a mall, if the price is written 2,000 rupees, we don't tend to bargain or say that why it's 2,000. I'll give only 1,500, or I'll give you only 1,000. We just don't. We just go give make the payment and just take our stuff and return. That's how we do it. So let us first study about the weekly market. A weekly market is so called because it is held on a specific day of the week. Weekly markets do not have permanent shops. Traders just set up their shop on a shop for the day and then close them up in the evening. The one we saw here, where they had just laid down something to spread on the ground, and they had all this stuff over it, and then close them up in the evening. Then they may set up at different place the next day. There are thousands of such markets in India. People come here from for their everyday requirements. Many things in the weekly markets are available at cheaper rates. This is because when shops are in permanent buildings, they incur a lot of expenditure. They have to pay rents, electricity fees to the government. They also have to pay wages to the workers. So here we're talking about that why somebody who has a shop is expensive, because they have to maintain electricity bills, they have to pay taxes, and they have to even have some people working from them. While in a weekly market, these shop owners store the things they sell at home, and most of them are held by their family members, and hence they do not hire workers. Weekly markets also have a large number of people selling the same good. So if in a weekly market, you would have noticed that if somebody one person is selling for example a pen, then you can see lines of people selling the same item. They all must be selling, mm, sorry, they all might be selling pens only. So that's how weekly markets also have large number of shops selling the same goods, which means there's competition among them. In some trader were to charge a high price, people would have to move to another shop where the same thing might may be available more cheaply, or where the buyer can bargain and bring down the price. So there's also a positive thing and the negative thing, that all the people who are selling the same thing, it's good for the buyer that that they get the option to choose from people who give it at the cheapest price, the same thing, whereas it is bad for the seller, because then they have to bring down the price for the buyer, and the seller will bargain, and then of course he's not going to have a profit. If there's only one shop of something, pen shop, and there are hundreds of students buying pen every day, of course the shopkeeper has an advantage of increasing the price of that particular pen, and people will not complain because they know that there are no other people who are selling it. So then the seller will have an advantage. So that's the difference. One of the advantages of weekly market is that most things you need are available at one place. Whether you want vegetable, groceries, or cloth items, utensils, all of them can be found there. You do not have to go to different places to buy different things. People prefer going to one market where they have a choice and a variety of goods. So yeah, if you can get everything in one place, why would you go to a place, just roam from one a place to another? That is sensible enough. Samir, seller of clothes. Samir is a small trader in a weekly market. He buys clothes from a large trader in the town. He sells them in six different markets in a week. He and other clothes sellers move in groups. They hire a minivan for this. His customers are from villages that are near the marketplace. At festival times such as Deepavali or Pongal, he does good business. So we're talking about Samir, who's a small trader and who buys clothes from a larger, bigger trader, and then he sells it to nearby villages, people from the nearby villages who he sets up his you can see there's no shop. He's just laid down a big maybe a sheet type of thing, and then he's just placed one over the over piled it one over the other, and he's just sitting there, or he's just standing. You can see this person, this shop belongs this set of piles of clothes belongs to him, and then there's another person, and then so on. They all are selling the same thing. He's saying that he and his other people, they all move in a group, and then sometimes they even might they hire a mini van or something to just transfer the load from here or there. Shops in the neighborhood. We all have seen the weekly markets offer a variety of goods. However, we also buy things from other kinds of markets. There are many shops that sell goods and services in our neighborhood. We may buy milk from the dairy, groceries, or from departmental stores, stationery, eatables, or medicines from other shops. Many of these are permanent shops, while others are roadside stalls, such as those of vegetable hawker, the fruit vendor, the mechanic, etc. Shops in the neighborhood are useful in many ways. They are nearer our home, and we can go there on any day of the week. Usually, the buyer and seller know each other, and these shops provide goods on credit. This means that you can pay for the purchases later, as we saw in Sujata's case, for example. Okay, so why did Sujata carry a notebook? So we are here. Why did Sujata carry a notebook? Do you think this system is useful? Can there be problems? What are the different kinds of shops that you find in your neighborhood? Why do you purchase from them? What are the goods sold in permanent shops costlier than those sold in the weekly markets or by the roadside hawker? So we've already the biggest reason is the maintenance cost here. In a weekly market, you don't have to maintain anything. You just move from place to a place, whereas in a permanent shop you have to maintain the maintenance costs are high, whether you have to pay somebody who's working in your shop, or the electricity, or simply to the government. And that is why it is finally the load goes on to the customers, who are we. Sujata and Kavita were sent to buy two groceries from their neighborhood shop. This was a shop they usually went. It was a crowd. It was crowded today. The owner managed the shop with two helpers. When Sujata managed to get into the shop, Sujata dictated a list to her. She in turn began asking for helpers to weigh and pack the item. Meanwhile, Kavita looked around. On the top shelf, there were different brands of detergent cakes. Another shelf had toothpaste, shampoo, talcum powder, hair oil. The different brands and different colors looked so attractive. On the floor lay a few sacks. It almost took 20 minutes to weigh and pack all the groceries. Then Sujata showed her notebook. The woman noted the amount, 1550, and in the notebook, and gave it back. She also noted the amount in a bigger register. Then Sujata took away the heavy bag of out of the shop. Her family will pay for the purchases in the first week of next month. So a lot of times, it happens that in our neighborhood shops we can buy on credit. Matlab, what does credit means? You buy first and you can pay later because maybe you know the person well. Here you can see other shop settings, and it is just on a relation that is built between the shopkeeper and the this buyer. Okay, so here you might have noticed that there are different kinds of sellers in the neighborhood market. Some of them have permanent shops while others sell their some have permanent shops while others on their roadside. So here's another story. Anzal Anzal Mall is a five-floor shopping complex. Kavita and Sujata were enjoying going up and down in the lift. It seemed as if it was made of glass and they were able to see outside as they went up. It was fascinating to see so many different kinds of shops, such as ice cream, burger, pizza, and other food stuff. Shops full of home appliances, footwear, and leather items, as well as book shops. While wandering about on the third floor, they entered a shop that was selling branded ready made clothes. The security guard looked at them as if he wanted to stop them, but he did not say anything. They looked at some dresses and then looked at the price tag. None of them was less than rupees 2000, almost times the weekly market price. Sujata whispered to Kavita, if I will take you to another shop which has good quality ready-made clothes at more reasonable price. So, we are talking about that after, that they go to a they go to a mall and then they see different kinds of items also selling there, big, big brands and again and again. So they see um, that most of the items are above 2000 and they know that it's not a reasonable price. Matlab ki, if this is a pen, this is a simple pen, you go to a big mall and they sell it to for 100 rupees, would you buy it? No, I would say that this is not a reasonable pen for a sorry, this is not a reasonable price. मतलब कि इतना भी मतलब ये ठीक नहीं है कि it is not this thing, उसके लायक नहीं है, विल से लाइक कि इस पेन के मैं 100 रुपये क्यों दूँ, मैं नहीं देना चाहती इस पेन के 100 रुपये. इट्स लाइक इट्स नॉट रीजनेबल बिकॉज इसका इतना इस पेन का इतना वर्थ नहीं है एंड देर आर अदर बेटर पेन्स हु आर cheaper than this particular pen. So I'll say no, this is not a reasonable price and I wouldn't buy. Why do you think that the guard wanted to stop Kavita and Sujata from entering the shop? What would you say if someone stops you from entering a shop in a market? So sometimes a lot of happens that you see guards and everything in these big big malls and they are just for security persons, so that you know it's there that here, I'll tell you, here you can see this bodyguard and these are they are Kavita and Sujata. So some in these big brand shops, because here the items are expensive and if anything goes wrong in these shops, who's going to be blamed? It's the guard keeper that you allowed. And especially if you see in these malls वगैरह, you'll see that, have you ever seen any poor person who doesn't wear good clothes and etc go to a mall or everything? Whenever you next time visit mall, notice around that people who beg in the markets, who don't have they're homeless. Have you seen any those people in the shopping complex? They're not allowed to even enter. So how importance when it is important it is when we talk about democracy, equality, access, everybody has access, सबको हर किसी भी जगह जाने की आज़ादी है. So this also questions comes that why only a particular people who have this kind of income or वगैरह are allowed to enter. So that is not uh, in the concept of equality. Equality means everybody should be treated equal, whether you're the president or a person just or a roadside hawker. So here, that's what we are. And somebody, just imagine if you would have been stopped because of any reason. Would you like it? I mean, just place yourself, and next time, even when you visit a mall, you can go and look around that how many poor people who sell outside the mall, or who just beg. Have you ever seen them inside the mall? Shopping complex in mall. So far, we've seen the two kinds of marketplace: weekly markets and markets in a neighborhood. We've seen weekly markets in neighborhood. There are other markets in the urban areas that have many shops, popularly called as shopping complexes. These days, in many urban areas, you've also heard large multi-storied air-conditioned buildings with shops on different floors, known as malls. In these urban markets, you get both branded and urban non-branded goods. As you've read in the chapter on advertising, branded goods are expensive, often promoted by advertising, and claims of better quality. The companies producing these markets sell them through shops in large urban markets, and at times through special showrooms. As compared to non-branded clothes, fewer people can afford to buy the branded ones. Why do you why do people not bargain in shops located in malls, whereas they bargain in weekly markets? Okay, so mainly it's because that when you go to a place of mall or brands, you have to show your status. It's just that people are so fascinated and wanting to show off that yes, I can buy something as expensive as of 2000, 5000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. They have to show their status so that people respect them, and that is no means of respect, or simply showing that I can buy at 10,000 rupees, so I deserve respect, or I'm the best because I can afford that. That is now how it works. People who are equally buying that similar stuff from a different place are equally good as you are. So that a kind of mentality has to go away. Okay, chain of markets. In the previous sections, you've read about different markets from where we buy goods. From where do you think shop owners procure their goods? Are produced in factories, on farms, and homes. However, we don't buy directly from factory or the farm, nor would the producers be interested in selling a small quantity such as 1 kilo of vegetables on one plastic mug. The people in between the producers and the final consumers are the traders. The wholesale trader first buys goods in large quantities. For example, the vegetable wholesaler trader will not buy few kilos of vegetables but will buy large lots of 25 to 100 kilos. These will then be sold to other traders. In these markets, buying and selling takes place between traders. It is these links of traders that goods reach far away places. The trader who finally sells this to the customer is the retailer. The trader who finally sells this customer is known as a retailer. This could be a trader in a weekly market, a hawker in a neighborhood, or a shop in a shopping complex. We can understand this with the help of a following example. How do you think your neighborhood shop gets its goods? Find out and explain with some example. Why is a wholesale trader necessary? Because you cannot buy directly to the person who's producing it, because some items might be produced in Delhi and you are staying in Uttar Pradesh. How it is going to, you can't go to Delhi to buy those stuff, whereas somebody who is involved in that particular business itself, of buying and selling, and then they can transfer. Okay, next is the above map of Delhi shows the four of the 10 wholesale markets in the city: Azadpur, Keshopur, Daryaganj, Okhla. We're going to study an example. Every city has an areas of wholesale market. This is where goods first reach and are then supplied to other traders. The roadside hawker whom you read about earlier would have purchased a large quantity of plastic items from the wholesale market in the town. He in turn might have bought these from another even bigger wholesaler traders in the city. This Wholesale trader would have bought a larger quantity of plastic items from the factory and store them in a good town. In this way, a chain of market is set up. When we purchase, we may not be aware of the chain of markets through which these goods travel and they reach us. So we don't know who's buying from who. We just know that we have to go to the shop and they'll give it to us. The person who sells it to us, finally, he is a retailer and we are the buyer, whereas the person who produces it or makes it, manufactures it, they are the producers. And all the people in the middle, men who transfers it to the trader or passes on from one to another, they are called the traders. People, sorry, who are the people who transfer from here to here, they are called the traders. Aftab, the wholesaler in the city. Aftab is one of the wholesale traders who purchases in bulk. His business starts at 2 o'clock in the morning when vegetables reach the market. This is the time when vegetable markets or mandi starts buzzing in with city. The vegetables come in trucks, metadors, tractor trolleys from farms both near and far. Soon the process of auctions begin. After participates in the auction and decides what he will buy. Today, for example, he bought 5 quintals of cauliflower, 10 quintals of onions. He has a shop in the market where he stores the vegetables that he's bought from. Where here he will sell to the hawkers, shopkeepers who start coming to the market around 6 in the morning. They have to organize their purchases so that they can start their shop for the day around 10 in the morning. So that is how, you know, selling and everything is done from person to person, and that's how they sell it. Okay, then now we're gonna talk about the markets, other markets everywhere. So far we've seen different, sorry, marketplaces where people buy and sell a variety of goods and services. All these markets are in specific locality and work in a particular manner and time. However, it is not always necessary that one has to go to the market to purchase good. You can also order things from a variety of things through the phone and these days through internet, and the goods are delivered at your home. In clinics, and nursing homes, you may have noticed sales representatives waiting for doctors. Such persons are also engaged in the selling of goods. Thus, buying and selling takes place in different ways, not necessarily through shops in the market. The markets that we looked at above are the ones that we recognize easily. However, there are markets that we may not be aware of. This is because large number of goods are brought and sold that we don't use directly. For example, a farmer uses fertilizers to grow crops that he purchases from special shops in the city, and they in turn get it from factories. Car factory purchases engine gears, petrol tanks, axles, wheels, etc. from various other factories. We don't usually see all the buying and selling, but only the final product, the car in the showroom. The story is similar for any other good. So these are the, like, the market, shopping complex, or the a big mall or a neighborhood shop. We see it from our eyes, but there are many other things we don't see it because we don't buy it, but they are happening. For example, we don't maybe we because we buy the final product for a car, but what goes inside into making a car, the axle, the wheels, people, the makers purchase it from different other sellers, and then they finally make the product which is sold to us, the customers. People in the urban areas can enter markets without stepping out of their homes via the internet. They use the credit cards to make online purchases. So a lot of up to matlab, it's because of online shopping and everything. You would have noticed that all these online brands, whether for example Flipkart or Amazon, they sell, you just have to go choose, select payment, give the payment, and the particular item will be delivered. Same now to even food items and deliveries are done through internet, and you just select the particular food item that you want, and it will be delivered at your doorstep. So the world has moved on from where to where. A car being put up in a factory, so this is where we see the final product, but you can see so many things happen. The line, all the cars have been lined, and there inside, it's been the material inside the car, all those parts and everything, or they are being cleaned, and everything is being set up, put up together. Okay, markets and equality. Yeah, it has to be clear. Markets and equality. In this chapter, we've looked at shop owners in a weekly market and those in a shopping complex. There are very different people. One is a small trader with little money to run the shop, whereas the other is able to spend a lot of money to set up the shop. They also earn unequal amounts. The weekly market trader earns little compared to the profit of a regular shop owner in a shopping complex. Similarly, buyers are differently placed. There are many who are not able to afford the cheapest of goods, while others buying shopping busy shopping in malls. Thus, whether we can be buyers or sellers in different markets depends on the money that we have. Whether we can afford to buy from a mall or a day or a weekly market depends on the money we have. We have also examined the chain of markets that is formed before goods reach to us. It is therefore this chain that is produced one place r- in one place reaches people everywhere. Then when things are sold, it encourages production and new opportunities are created for people to earn. However, do they offer equal opportunities? We'll try to understand in the next chapter through a story. So we'll do that in the next chapter. Malls like the one above sell expensive and branded clothes. You can see the big malls, you can see advertisements all here. So let's discuss some of the question. In what ways is a hawker different from a shop owner? Firstly, the it is about having a permanent shop, whereas a shop owner has a permanent shop, and basically it's all the maintenance cost that makes shop owners give the items more expensive as compared to hawkers who just move on from place to place and set up their this stuff on the ground on different places at different days of the week. Compare and contrast the weekly market and a shopping complex. Markets, kinds of goods sold, prices of goods, sellers and buyers. Weekly markets, you get daily use and the prices are usually cheap. Whereas shopping complex, you get all sorts, but then those are very expensive. And you can see who are the buyers and sellers. You can explain how a chain of markets is formed. What purpose does it serve? Basically, it serves as a linkage because it's very difficult to directly buy from the producer, so that link is established so that the manufactured item produce is finally reached to the customer. All persons have equal rights to visit any shop in market. So do you think this is true for shops of expensive no, it is not. It is not true that all persons have equal rights, because in a country there's so much of inequality and people are just judged or made rules because they have certain amount of income, then only they are allowed, because they know every shop has their own target audience, who can buy and buy their stuff. Buying and selling can take place without going to marketplace. Explain the statement with the help of an example. The internet buying and everything, we've already discussed that today you can even order food online. Now it's glossary. Weekly market, these markets are not daily markets but are found at a particular place on a 1 or maybe 2 days. We've discussed mall, this is an enclosed shopping place. Large buildings with many floors that has shops, restaurants, and at times even cinema theater. Wholesale, this refers to buying and selling in large quantities. Most products include vegetables, which are bought in large quantity and then sold in smaller amounts to people. Chain of markets, a series of markets that are connected like links in a chain, because products pass on from one market to another. Everybody cannot directly purchase from the producer, so a link is established so that finally the product or an item reaches us, who we are, this buyers. So we've done this chapter, and yeah, we'll complete the next chapter, the other chapter of this unit, in the next class. Till then, take care and be happy. Bye.